how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering woke maniacs getting furious at a lawsuit to stop racial discrimination. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. California's For Equal Rights Foundation announces intent to sue San Francisco over guaranteed income programs. Quote, it's cartoonishly unconstitutional for San Francisco and its co-sponsors to so blatantly distribute public resources based only on race. From Twitchy, Constitution says no. The left is furious. Conservatives are suing to stop racial discrimination. And from the Los Angeles Times, backlash to affirmative action hits pioneering maternal health program for Black women. And from the Washington Free Beacon, universal basic income hits the Bay Area if you're Black. Civil rights lawyers cry foul over the Golden State's cash payments based on race. And here are some woke people very upset about the lawsuits over the discriminatory Abundant Birth Project. From Dr. Uche Blackstock, today Black babies are more than 2 times as likely to die in their first year than white babies due to racism. A wider disparity now than the 15 years before the end of slavery because white enslavers had a financial interest in keeping Black babies alive. These suits are sick and the intent is clear. From Mara Gay, imagine how sick your soul has to be to spend time and money on this. From Jalan Alexander, every time Black women create something that supports and benefits Black women, conservative white people are the ones offended. This is appalling. Reverend and Professor Cornell William Brooks had this to say. Breaking: white lawyers versus Black babies. The race-specific bias of American medicine means Black babies die 2.4 times the rate of white babies. So, conservative legal groups sue a program for helping Black mothers. Why? It is race-specific. Hashtag affirmative action for dying babies. Outrageous. Hamnat Mehta had this to say. The pro-lifers have once again made it harder for mothers with limited means to raise their babies. Miss October thinks this. This program was created because Black and brown women were getting the worst care when pregnant, and they were dying in childbirth. This person named Mai wants to sue the conservative groups. How can we sue the conservative group for legal discrimination while also labeling them a hate group? Petty Pablo thinks if white people can't have something, they will take it, steal it, or destroy it. Issa Watson thinks, I get it, they're pro-life except when it comes to Black lives. Anita Willis, they only want white women to have babies. It was never about us. And somebody with an LGBT flag in their profile, Caleb Matt Williams, says, well, it is blatantly unconstitutional, so there is that. At least 3 guaranteed income initiatives in the San Francisco Bay Area openly discriminate against white residents, limiting or entirely preventing their participation in programs that dole out no-strings-attached cash. The programs, all of which are publicly funded, violate both the United States and the California state constitution, lawyers say, as well as civil rights laws that ban race discrimination in contracting and by the recipients of government funds. The initiatives include the Black Economic Equity Movement, which provides $500 a month exclusively to Black young adults, the Abundant Birth Project, which provides $1,000 per month to Black and Pacific Islander mothers, and the Guaranteed Income Transgender People Program, which dole out $1,200 a month and prioritize enrollment of transgender, Black, Indigenous, or people of color. They are financed by the National Institutes of Health, the California Department of Social Services, and the City of San Francisco, respectively. These programs offer a preview of what could soon be the norm in the Golden State of California. In July 2021, California lawmakers set aside $35 million in grant funding for guaranteed income pilots across the state. Though the law did not include any racial or ethnic qualifiers in keeping with the California Constitution, the state's Social Services Department said it would only give the grants out to pilots that center equity. Grant applicants were encouraged to embed an equity-focused approach throughout each dimension of their programs, including their eligibility. Quote, it's astonishing to me how brazen the state of California and its various Bay Area's local governments have become in violating the many laws and constitutional provisions prohibiting race discrimination, said Gail Herodt, a member of the United States Commission on Civil Rights and a professor at the University of San Diego School of Law. All three initiatives appear to violate the 14th Amendment, which bans states from discriminating based on race, said Dan Morenoff, the executive director of the American Civil Rights Project, as well as the California Constitution and the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which ban racial discrimination in contracting. In addition, the Black Economic Equity Movement appears to violate Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which bans racial discrimination by the recipients of federal funds. The blueprint for these programs comes from private philanthropic ventures which have experimented with supplemental income schemes in Jackson, Mississippi and Atlanta, Georgia that are only available to Black women. Though both the Mississippi program, underwritten by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, and the Atlanta, Georgia program, funded by the Georgia Resilience and Opportunity Fund, discriminate based on race, they might not violate any law, said David Bernstein, a professor of constitutional law at George Mason Law School. But their California counterparts are another ballgame. Quote, "The publicly funded programs are clearly unconstitutional," Bernstein said. "It's not a close call. In an implicit admission of the legal stakes, every agency involved in the Abundant Birth Project denied using the racial criteria listed on the program's website. The San Francisco Department of Public Health, which oversees the program, told the Washington Free Beacon that it is open to all San Franciscans, albeit with focused efforts to reach Black and Pacific Islander pregnant and parenting people. You can't discriminate against people based on their skin color and not give some people money but give other people money just because they look a certain way. This is public money. This isn't someone's private money." From the Los Angeles Times, backlash to affirmative action hits pioneering material health program for Black women. For Brianna Jones, a young Black mother in San Francisco, a city program called the Abundant Birth Project has been a godsend. Designed to counter the obstetric racism that researchers say leads a disproportionate number of African American mothers to die from childbirth, the project has provided 150 pregnant Black and Pacific Islander San Franciscans a $1,000 monthly payment, no strings attached. The money enabled Jones to pay for gas to drive for prenatal clinics, buy fresh fruits and vegetables for her toddler son and herself, and remain healthy as she prepared for the birth of her second child last year. But the future of the Abundant Birth Project clouded a lawsuit alleging that the program, the first of its kind in the nation, illegally discriminates by giving the stipend only to people of a specific race. The lawsuit also targets San Francisco Guaranteed Income Program serving artists, transgender people, and Black young adults. The litigation is part of a growing national effort by conservative groups to eliminate racial preferences in a range of institutions after a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that found race-conscious admissions to colleges and universities to be unconstitutional. In healthcare, legal actions threaten efforts to provide scholarships to minority medical school students and other initiatives to create a physician workforce that looks more like the nation. The lawsuits also endanger other measures designed to reduce documented racial disparities. Black women are 3 to 4 more times more likely than white women to die in labor or from related complications in the U.S., and Black infants are twice as likely as white infants to be born prematurely and to die before their first birthdays. Racial and ethnic minorities are also more likely to die from diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma, and heart disease than their white counterparts, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. A handful of activist nonprofit groups and law firms are leading the charge. Do No Harm, a nonprofit formed in 2022, has sued health commissions, pharmaceutical companies, and public health journals to try to stop them from choosing applicants based on race. Do No Harm claims more than 6,000 members worldwide and partners with nonprofit legal organizations, mostly the Pacific Legal Foundation, which garnered national attention when it defended California's same-sex marriage ban. Another nonprofit, the Californians for Equal Rights Foundation, together with a Dallas-based law firm called the American Civil Rights Project, filed the lawsuit against the city of San Francisco and the state of California over the Abundant Birth Project, alleging the program violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution's 14th Amendment by granting money exclusively to Black and Pacific Islander women. The 14th Amendment was passed after the Civil War to give rights to formerly enslaved Black people. And that defense is often brought up with discriminatory programs saying, well, look, it only really applies to certain people of certain races, so we're not supposed to all be equal in this country because equity. No wonder they're getting sued. The lawsuit calls public money used for the project and 3 other guaranteed income programs discriminatory giveaways that are illegal, wasteful, and injurious. Quote, the city and the county of San Francisco crafted the Abundant Birth Project with the express intention of picking beneficiaries based on race, Dan Morenoff, executive director of the American Civil Rights Project, said in a phone interview. It's unconstitutional. They can't legally do it, and we are optimistic that the courts will not allow them to continue to do it. San Francisco and state officials declined to discuss the case because of the pending litigation, but the city defended the program in its initial response to the lawsuit. The Abundant Birth Project started in June 2021 and plans to make a second round of grants to pregnant mothers this fall, the response says. The project strives to improve maternal and infant health outcomes by easing the economic stress on pregnant Black and Pacific Islander San Franciscans. People in those groups face some of the worst outcomes in the U.S., where more women die as a result of pregnancy and childbirth than in other high-income nations. The state of California last year awarded $5 million to expand the program to include Black mothers in 4 other counties. Kiara Bridges, a Berkeley law professor and anthropologist who has talked to beneficiaries of the Abundant Birth Project but is not directly involved with it, said the Supreme Court ruling on college affirmative action could actually support the argument that the program is legal. The court struck down affirmative action in part because the majority said Harvard and the University of North Carolina failed to show measurable outcomes justifying race consciousness in college admissions. While statistics on potential benefits from the Abundant Birth Project are not publicly available, Bridges and others familiar with the program expect researchers to demonstrate it saves and improves lives by comparing the health outcomes of families that received the stipend with those of families that did not. The outcomes could justify employing race to choose program participants, Bridges said. Bridges also drew another distinction between the role of race in college admissions and the role of race in health disparities. Quote, if you don't get into Harvard, there's always Princeton or Columbia or Cornell, she said. Maternal death, the stakes are a little bit higher. In California, a voter initiative, Proposition 209, has prohibited race-based selection in public education and employment since 1996. California Assembly member Mia Bonta has co-authored a pending bill that would amend the proposition to allow municipalities to grant benefits to specific groups of vulnerable people if they use research-based measures that can reduce health and other disparities. Bonta, a law school graduate, said the litigation against the Abundant Birth Project is the result of, quote, conservative groups who want to exist in a world that doesn't exist, where communities of color have not had to suffer the generational harm that comes from structural racism. I mean, their program of only giving money to certain people of certain skin colors for the Abundant Birth Project and other kinds of projects is structurally racist. You would think an attorney would catch on to that. In the United States, Black women are far more likely than white women to report that healthcare providers scolded, threatened, or shouted at them during childbirth, research shows. They also face other forms of obstetric racism, including barriers to quality care and cumulative stress from lifelong discrimination. Growing up Black in predominantly white and Asian San Francisco has been a struggle for Jones, but while carrying her second baby last year, she learned from her mother about the Abundant Birth Project. Within a month, her race and address in Bayview Hunters Point, where some of the city's poorest residents live, qualified her to receive $1,000 per month during her pregnancy and for 6 months after her pregnancy. Quote, I really did feel like it was God helping me, she said. For Morenoff, though, it's just another form of discrimination, and he says the city must either open the Abundant Birth Project to all pregnant women or close it down. Quote, the whole point of the 14th Amendment is to require America to treat all Americans as Americans with the same equal rights. Jones had high blood pressure leading to swollen ankles and dizziness during both her pregnancies. In her more recent one, the stipend helped her quit couch surfing and move into an apartment, and she gave birth to a healthy boy named Adonis. Couch surfing would be sleeping on people's couches, friends' couches, and things like that because you can't afford your own place. She says she took the money and was able to move into a place before her baby was born. Quote, "It's known that people of color struggle way harder than other races," Jones said. "Where I live, it's nothing but struggle here, people trying to make ends meet. For them trying to take this program away from us," she said, "it's wrong. It's wrong to discriminate against people based on their skin color. That is the law in the United States. It protects people from inappropriate, unfair treatment, and it's part of your human rights under the Constitution. I certainly understand that people need benefits, they need help, different people are in different situations, and there are multiple programs for that. But the programs can't be based on people's skin color. Otherwise, it's not America anymore." Here's what the people bringing the lawsuit have to say about it. Quote, "It's cartoonishly unconstitutional for San Francisco and its co-conspirators to so blatantly distribute public resources based on race. Quote, no serious person could look at any of these programs and tell you with a straight face that they satisfy strict scrutiny. Thankfully, California has a mechanism for its people to shut down obviously illegal programs when their governments choose to ignore such well-known facts. The California Constitution unambiguously prohibits public agencies from treating individuals differently on the basis of race." Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.